Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News for Saturday Night Livestream. Hope everyone's having a lovely evening. We've got lots of people ready for tonight's subject. I have two very special guests with me. That would be my good friend Dr. B and my good friend Methods. I almost said M3thods. Tonight we're going to be talking about spiritual warfare, spooky stuff, paranormal even, things we cannot explain, things from the dark side, things from the light side. We're going to get through a ton of different stories, some very interesting things, and maybe some things from the audience. If you guys have some special stories that you want to tell us, by all means, throw it there in the chat, and maybe we'll go through and talk about it and dissect it. Now, before we get into any of this, we're going to take a quick break and hear from my sponsor, and we'll be right back. Oh, well, I guess, sorry about that. My sponsor is not ready to pull up. All right, so we're not going to do the sponsor tonight, guys. No worries. We're just going to get right into it. So, with that, bid you hello to my friends, Methods and Dr. B. How are you two doing?
Hey, Red Pill. Thanks for doing this tonight. This should be fun.
I'm very excited about it. Dr. B, how you doing?
Doing wonderful. I'm so glad to join you, gentlemen. This is going to be exciting.
I'm very excited. Let's say hello to some people in the audience. I see we've got people from Utah, people from Kentucky, people from North Carolina, Australia, North Carolina. We've got patriots from all across the globe. And I would be remiss, guys, if I didn't let you know that at the end of the show, Jason was a Gentile and Luke Slytalker are also going to be joining us. They collaborated on an awesome song, and I can't wait for you guys to hear that. I'm pretty excited about that. But like I said, we're going to be talking about some spooky paranormal stuff tonight. Methods, Dr. B, we have been told, and I think we've all felt for a long time before we even heard it on the board, that this is spiritual warfare. We are dealing with things beyond comprehension, beyond definition sometimes. And I know that you guys, as well as me, we have all gone through some things that have been kind of, scary at times, maybe kind of opened our eyes, let us know that there is an entire world out there that's unseen.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, the battle versus good and evil that we discuss, I always try to look at it as stripped down to just that. You know, we have the good side and the bad side. We have a spiritual realm. There's angels and demons. And, you know, we cover a lot of topics and what happens in our reality and what we can talk about and point at and sauce. But when it comes to the supernatural realm, this is a battle. There are malevolent forces that are not wanting us to even talk tonight, even to have these connections. That's why they're so terrified of this movement in general, is because we all banded together and we wanted this to be for God and country. That's why we make sure say that. And that's why I love that our favorite Anon does that.
Yep.
So yeah, it's something that does need to be talked about a lot more, and I'm glad you're giving us a chance to do that.
Definitely. Dr. B?
Well, for the longest time of my life, I was actually an atheist, and I didn't believe in any of this stuff. I would turn my nose at it. And right around 20, really right before everything with Q came out, I really had a spiritual awakening. And I'm not sure if you've heard my testimony where I talked about having to in my job as a pathologist, I had to be exposed to some really, really horrific things involving the aborted babies that would come down from the surgical ORs to me. And that really was the start of my journey. And dealing with spiritual warfare, from my learning everything and having my own red pill awakening, once I started learning about what was happening to, say, MK Ultra victims, I really wanted to start helping them in some way and figuring out what was going on. And actually, through the MK Ultra victims that I became very close friends with, those were the people that also really started showing me how real the supernatural world is. And it's because these cabal bloodlines, they actually, from a very early age, they raised their children to attack Christians and to they just inculcate them really into the supernatural world, and they do it through black magic, and they do it on a society that is asleep just like I was, and we're totally unexpecting of it. And after that, weird things started really happening to me, some supernatural things, and I would start talking to, I've got a big circle of physician friends, and I came to them and told them a little bit about what I was experiencing, and that opened up the floodgates, and they all started telling me their supernatural stories. And I was blown away with how common this is, yet how no one talks about it, how we're all afraid to discuss it, that especially if you're, growing up in the circles I grew up in, with sort of indoctrinated into the university system and then in medicine, we discount this stuff. We're trained to discount this stuff and to not even investigate it. And it just blows my mind.
I can imagine, well, I guess maybe I can't imagine, coming from an atheistic background, how you could have gone your entire life without experiencing something that was unexplainable and clearly paranormal or supernatural. I mean, like, I see many doctors, many people of science out there, and even just lay people completely discounting this stuff, because in the society that we live in, we're kind of taught to take things at face value. If something happens that we can't explain, it's just a coincidence. If something happens that doesn't have, a serious, definition or explanation, it just must be a one-off, and therefore it's something that we shouldn't pay attention to. But I think another important point here is that although this is a battle between good and evil, dark and light, there are just as many things out there that are paranormal, unexplainable, that are good, in my opinion, as they are that are evil. And I think that just because we experience something that's unexplainable, it should not immediately be viewed as evil. I think that, if we have like a negative paranormal experience, I think it's pretty obvious what's going on. But I think that there are things that we can experience that are actually like they're from God, and therefore it's a message, or it's we're being touched by something holy and not necessarily something evil. You guys have any opinions on that? All you have to
do, well, you have to test the spirits too.
Yeah.
You have to. That's one of the things as Christians you're told to do is make sure that this is not a deception, that this is not a wolf in sheep's clothing. And,
yes.
You need to have a close conversation and a close relationship with God.
And that's where discernment comes in.
100%. Yeah, having the discernment, especially, praying for the guidance of discernment, because we have to sift through so many different situations and develop opinions, and we hear things from certain people, and we don't know if they're good or bad or what their intentions are. And what, not necessarily saying, if they're saying things that are sinister, they're backed by evil, and demons are giving them a script or something. It's a matter of the forces behind even the thoughts itself and what's been created around us. With the Hollywood spin on good versus evil, horror movies and all that, it does kind of, it muddies the waters. And
it does.
When it comes to when you have your own experience, yeah, you can kind of say, give an example that might be towards a movie. But even when you do that, and I can speak for myself, I'm sure you guys can agree, it doesn't really hold a candle. It doesn't really help it. It does just to kind of explain it to somebody who didn't go through it. But when you experience, whether it be good or bad or whatever, attack or, a spiritual touch, a moment, when you feel God come over your life, there's nothing really that can explain it, but you try. And that's what we're trying to do tonight.
Yeah, I think that's inevitable. I mean, again, because we come from kind of an analytical world, I think it's inevitable that we try to ascribe some meaning or some definition to things, but inevitably, it's impossible in most of these situations. I think that probably making the decision for ourselves whether this is a good event or a bad event, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I think the experiences that I've had, I haven't been confused about what was going on. I either had like an overwhelming sense of contentment and fulfillment, or it was like straight evil and I knew that I needed to get the heck out of there.
Oh yeah, you could typically know, especially when you try to keep a certain level of connection. I know we always need to search for a connection with God, but as you get closer and develop that relationship, it's pretty cut and dry when you experience such things of what you're kind of dealing with, and then you kind of move forward with it, and it kind of just shows itself, and it's actually a victory in its own right when they flee.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, real quick, I just need to say a couple of thank yous. Thank you to Jeff Stewart. He says, hi, everybody. Where we go one, we go all. We are the champions, my friends. Gotta love Queen. Roger Sloan says, checking in from South Carolina. Hopefully everyone will appreciate the info. I certainly hope they do. Tina Baldwin says, the battle is real, but God is in control. Amen on that. And Lady Warrenon says, blessings and victory to all. Thank you to all of you for those generous donations and for being with us here tonight. Someone said that white magic is evil, and then someone else said white magic is racist.
Whoever said that, you get a digital crisp high five.
Star for you.
Right.
All right. Well, so do we want to tell some stories? I know that I've got something that I can tell you guys about. This scared me really, really bad. Oh, Q, Code Red Do Girl says, it was Dr. B that shook my core even more into a spiritual awakening. Her powerful video on SGT was heartbreaking. Thank you. Yes, that was an incredible video, incredible testimony. I highly recommend that everybody go and watch that if you have not seen it yet. That's on SGT Report's channel, and it's really good. I mean, that was the first place I heard you, Dr. B, and it was incredibly powerful.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that comment with me. That's wonderful to hear.
No problem. Okay, so I'll tell you guys what happened. I've got a lot of different stories, but
right, yeah, the campfire's lit. Everybody's gathered around, marshmallows, popcorn.
Let's do this.
Let's go, 78.
All right. So when I was a kid, we lived in one house until I was in 3rd grade, and I had some experiences there. Maybe we'll circle back and I'll tell something from there. But when I was in 5th grade, in the summer between 5th and 6th grade, my mom and I went to California for the summer. And my sister and I, up until that point, had shared a bedroom. We lived in our new house in the basement. It was a ranch house, so it was like a fairly big room. We just had like a divider in between. And I got back from California, and my dad had moved my sister upstairs, and then I was given the basement all to my own. So I thought that was pretty cool. So my bed was way on one side of the room, and there was carpeting on the floor. And the first night back, I am sleeping with my back to the far side of the room, or I'm falling asleep with my back to the far side of the room. And I hear way over on the other side what sounds like footsteps. Okay? Now, not just any footsteps, and it's not like, people like somebody walking along a wooden floor. It's carpeting on concrete. So these footsteps were like the slow, deliberate, plodding, dragging footsteps of, in my mind, like a zombie, like a ghoul of some kind. And I heard these footsteps like deliberately coming closer and closer. And it got all the way up to my bed, and I was just petrified. I could not move. I was literally frozen in place. I wanted to pull my head under the cover so bad. I wanted to reach up and turn my light on. There was so much I wanted to do. Get up and run. I couldn't do any of it. I couldn't move. And I was just frozen. So I laid there for what seemed like the entire night, and I must have eventually fallen asleep. But it seemed like it took like 15 minutes for those footsteps to arrive. Like it was just an incredibly long amount of time. And so in the morning, I wake up and I'm like, okay, I didn't get much rest. Don't feel so hot. Don't really know what I'm supposed to do. I'm only like 11 years old. And I was like, my parents are going to think I'm crazy. So I didn't say anything. So I went to school and kind of just wrote it off because I was like, I must have been dreaming. It must have been a nightmare. That can't be real. So I go to bed the next night and I turn the lights off. And a couple minutes later, the footsteps start again from way over on the other side of the room. And they take just as long, and I'm just as scared, and I can't do anything. I can't turn the light on. I can't pull the covers over my head. And this happened every night for about 2 weeks. And
Red pill.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt,
Go
but
ahead.
could you see at all, even though your eyes were closed? Could you see your environment at all?
No, it was pitch black because it was the basement,
okay,
and there was
okay.
like just a small window, and there was like a curtain covering it. So, and it wasn't like a well-lit neighborhood. It was like an older neighborhood. There were some streetlights, but there wasn't any in front of our house. And
Okay.
my mom, I wonder if my mom remembers this story here in the chat.
She's in the chat saying, "Thanks, son. I still live in that house."
Well, tell her to go exercise the basement.
We did stuff like that when I was little, but I'll finish the story because I think that it's okay now. But so after like 2 weeks of like getting no sleep, and I'm just like, I'm falling apart, and I was like, Mom, this this has been happening, and the only thing that she could think to do besides like getting somebody to bless the place was for me to sleep with the radio on.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, whatever. At least I'm not going to hear the footsteps. And so I slept with the radio on until I was 23 years old. But that's not the end of the story. The next day, after we get this radio and turn it on, and I'm finally able to go to sleep because of the noise and I don't hear the footsteps, okay. When you walk down the stairs, you turn to the left, there's my bedroom. You turn to the right, there's like this little TV room, and then through the TV room, there's a hallway, and it leads into the laundry room. So one type of carpeting on the stairs and in the TV room, a different type of carpeting in my bedroom, and then linoleum in the laundry room. And then take another right, and then you're in the bathroom in the basement, which is where I showered and got ready and did my stuff for school and getting ready to go to school. So I'm getting ready for school the next morning after I get the radio, and I can hear the footsteps starting. They are in my bedroom, the carpet in my bedroom, and I know the sound because I listened to them for hours upon hours upon hours for the last several weeks. And I am in the bathroom, and I hear it get to the TV room. And then I hear it get to the linoleum. And when it gets to the linoleum, sounds like a dead wet foot hitting the linoleum, like slap down, and then like slimy, and I start screaming, and my mom and my dad are directly above me. That's where their bedroom was, directly above me. Maybe like 8-10 inches of space in between us. There couldn't have been all that much insulation in there, and I'm screaming my head off, and nobody can hear me. My sister can't hear me. My mom and my dad can't hear me, and there's a curtain, okay, leading out into the laundry room. And I know that if I open this curtain, I'm going to see what it is, and I'm just going to die. My heart's going to stop, and that's curtains for Red Pill. So the only thing I could think to do, because it was right there. I knew that it was right there because I could tell from the proximity of the steps. I threw a towel over my head. I ran through the curtain, and then through the hallway, and then in the TV room and up the stairs, and I must have hit every corner and wall on the way up. And I just get to the top of the stairs, and I collapse in a sobbing heap. And like my mom and my dad and my sister are right there. Like my dad's drinking coffee, and my mom's making breakfast for my sister. And they look at me, and they're like, "What the heck is going on?" And I'm just like emotionally puking just all over the place. I'm like, what is wrong with you guys? Couldn't you hear me? What the heck? I was scared to death. And they were all just like, no, like I couldn't hear anything that you were doing. And I was like, I've been screaming for like 15 minutes, like you guys are deaf or it's, something. I was in some type of cone of silence or something like that. And so that was it with those footsteps. And that was not the only crazy thing that happened in that house in that basement. But that was probably the longest prolonged incident that I had to go through when I was a little kid. But it always put me on edge. And like I said, I slept with the radio on until I was 23 years old. Okay, it had a profound effect. And that it wasn't like I lived in that house till I was 23. Every place I went, I slept with the radio on because I had this subconscious fear that if I turned the radio off and there was silence, I was going to hear those footsteps again, and it was going to get me, and it didn't matter where I was. I was scared to death.
Oh my goodness. Red Pill, that's so similar to what happened to me with my first attack. I don't know. Methods, is it okay if I squeeze this one in? Because it just... Ugh.
I'm along for the ride, and I'm with the YouTube chat right now. I have no words. Go on. Let's do this.
Well, just so many things that you were saying, Red Pill, just resonated, and just in my spirit, I'm going, oh gosh, that's what happened to me. Just those chills over your body, going, oh, the dread. So what happened with me was I'd first started reading those Podesta emails. This is probably in August of around 2017, where I'm really getting into learning about, well, I don't know. I'm still, an atheist at the time, but I'm going, I don't know if I believe in God, but this evil, it was the first time I was confronted with, wow, evil exists. And not just that, but these occultists, these spirit cookers, these people that are, born into these horrific situations of being born into a cabal bloodline and having to go through what they do to their children to program them. But like they believe, doesn't matter what I believe, if I don't believe in the supernatural, these people do. They believe in dark magic and just awful, different demonic universes and demonic entities that they can raise up and that they can sort of command. And so anyway, sorry for that longer story into it, but what happened was I'm busy. I work full-time as a full-time physician, and I don't have a lot to learn, but I don't have a lot of time to learn. So it's on my own free time. So every night I would fall asleep listening to podcasts and listening to just testimonies and as much as I could learn about what these people were doing. And that night was like just like any other. I'd fallen asleep with YouTube, and I have YouTube set to go on autoplay. So after I fall asleep, it just keeps going. And my husband was out in the living room, and the door was cracked open. So there was some hallway light that was on in my bedroom. And I'm having a normal dream when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I hear the most evil, sinister laughter, just maniacally, evilly laughing at me. And it's in my head. And it interrupts my dream. And something deep inside of me says, this isn't you. And I snap up and I freeze up, and I'm wide awake then. And I'm listening to this thing laughing at me, just the most dreadful, evil thing. I never experienced anything like this. And I was just in absolute shock. But I remember, I was raised Christian by my mother, who would still pray for me every day of my life. All 4 of her children left the faith because we were sort of brainwashed into this world system. But I remember some of what I experienced with her taking me to church and telling me about Jesus when I was a kid. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I have no idea where it came from, but just deep inside of me, I said, in the name of Jesus, I cast you out. And that laughter stopped. It left. But the thing was I still couldn't move. I was still paralyzed. I could still hear YouTube on in the background. I mean, I could hear everything happening. I could see everything in that dim light in my room, which is why I asked if you could see anything, even though my eyelids were closed. But it was like I was in a different dimension, and I could see everything. And so I'm sitting there going, oh my goodness, that was real. That really happened. That was really pure. Even though I only heard the voice. I couldn't see anything. So now I'm screaming for my husband to come in, but nothing's coming out. I'm screaming for him though, calling his name and going, oh, I still can't move. I'm still paralyzed. But all of a sudden the door pushes open even more, and a lot more light comes in, and I see the shadow of my husband's body walking over to me. And I get this sigh of relief going, oh, he heard me. How could he hear me? It wasn't coming out though. I was screaming, but somehow he heard me. And then all of a sudden another one enters behind the first one. And I realized, oh, that's not my husband. And what it was these two, they look like they had the figures of a human body, but like wearing one of those full body black leotards that
shadow people's exactly
what it was, which is what so I could barely see the protrusion of a nose. I could barely see like maybe the faintest eye sockets, but no eyes. And it was just this black onyx swirl. And these two things came over to me and they sat on me. And as soon as they sat on me, I couldn't breathe at all. They were heavy. One was on my thighs and the other one was on my chest. And the one on my chest gets up in my face as I can't breathe. And it's studying me. And I'm looking at it going, what the? You know, I'm like, this is real. This is really happening. And I'm studying it going, I can't believe this is happening. You're really here. And then I'm, you know, and I'm saying it in my head because nothing's coming out, but I'm talking to it. And it's looking at me like, yeah, we're here. And I'm looking at it and I get enraged. I'm terrified, but I'm also, how dare you? I do not permit you to be here. In the name of Jesus, leave. And poof, they left.
Cool.
But like before I said that, I was just looking at him going, this is really happening. This is, you know, if I read about this in neuroscience textbooks, because I took a bunch of neuroscience graduate courses. I wanted to study I wanted to be a neuroscientist, and MD, PhD, and I would have written this off as, and there are lots of psychiatrists
hypnagogic hallucinations.
But I'm like, this isn't this. Those textbooks are bullshit, are BS.
Yep.
This is real. This is my own personal experience going, whoa. And it was just that swirling onyx looking at me just like a shadow, not a real figure. And they left. And then I'm going, what the? And so rather than wake my son up, I text my husband and I'd say, come in here. I'm texting explicatives talking about this demon and he's a Christian. He's always been a Christian. He's put up with a lot from me, but it's he comes in around the corner with a baseball bat.
That's not going to do anything, honey.
and this was right around the time where I was still brainwashed and very just thinking, Christianity was a little bit more open to learning about it, but really I was still very, I had the spirit of the Antichrist still is what I had in me, but I still wasn't really open to Christianity. At that time, other people that were talking about the stuff that I was looking into, the supernatural stuff, they were more along the lines of the New Age movement. And I'll tell you what, man, I opened up a door. And I know exactly why that led to my being attacked. And my husband was like, that's it. We're throwing all this New Age stuff out. I can't believe, Yep. It's embarrassing to admit now, but I'm really thankful to him for because it's dangerous. It's dangerous messing with this type of stuff.
It is. Now I have a story about shadow people. That's why I said that. Okay. But I do need to say thank you to Charles Pixley, good friend of the program, and will be coming back on soon. It says, glorious revelation of divine self-consciousness as the source of infinite knowledge and power is the only purpose and the beginning of the real purpose of creation. With love, Charlie. Thanks, Charlie. Love you.
Aww,
Q-tips. Yep. Q-tips.
Hi, Charles.
Q-tips 45 says, my best friends, you guys rock. I love your red pill and M3. Thank you for that, Q-tips. Q-wife Maga Life says, you guys rock. Much love and appreciation for you all, for all you do. And Code Red Do Girl says, we need to take names and kick dragon. Yeah, that sounds about right. All right, so I've got a couple other stories here. I think I should have given this story as a preface, but maybe it'll be better as an afterward. So the house that we moved into, it had, as most houses do, another family that lived in it prior to us. It wasn't just before us. I believe that it was the family just before that family. But they owned a liquor store, which was close to the house that we had moved out of. And sadly, there was the daughter of the parents that owned the place. She was killed in a robbery on Super Bowl Sunday. She was manning the store for her father so that he could stay home and watch the game. Pretty certain that she lived in my bedroom where I was sleeping. So once I found that out, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, maybe that was her. And I've often heard that people who die in traumatic ways like that, perhaps they're not quite ready to accept the fact that they're supposed to move on. And, you know, I don't know. I've seen that in movies, so they might totally discount that. But just an idea. So the shadow people. All right, so this one, you guys, this one pulls in a couple of different threads. All right, so... you know, I mentioned hypnagogic hallucinations. You know, I've had friends, and there were many people in the audience who were watching who mentioned sleep paralysis and having these intense dreams like this. I think sometimes, you know, that's true, but I think other times it's, you know, this paranormal phenomena that we're talking about. But this one night, I fell asleep, and in my dream, and I don't dream very often. You need to have me tell you the rest of this story from my side. Things happen to me as well. Ooh, maybe you can call in, Mom. So anyways, I was in my dream, and I'm kind of like coming to realization that I'm in this like room, and it's all white. Okay, there's no seams, there's no walls, floors, ceiling, there's nothing. It's just this white room, and things are kind of starting to coalesce and take place. And I'm like walking down a hallway. It becomes a hallway. And as I'm walking down this hallway, the walls, as they take form, there's what almost look like pop-up windows, okay? Like on a camper, like these panels open up on the walls. And inside of this crevice, inside this panel that's opened up, I see what look initially like just these kind of amorphous blobs, these round kind of whitish gray blobs. And I used to work at a pizza joint way back in the day when I was a kid. And so at first I said that they look like balls of pizza dough, because we had these trays. The pizza dough would be prepared in there. It would rise, and then we'd take it out and flatten it. So I'm continuing to walk down the hallway, and these blobs take shape. And at first I say, oh, they look like people of Asian descent, kind of. And then I say, oh, man, no, they're not Asian people. They've got no hair. They look like aliens, like gray aliens, like the prototypical, what you would expect an alien would look like from the movies. And when I realized that, I also realized that I'm not walking down the hall. I am being ushered down the hall. I have no control over myself moving. I'm like attached to this cart. And I start looking, and I realize that there's all these faces watching me moving down the hallway, and I start screaming. And I wake up screaming, and at the foot of my bed, in my bedroom, in front of the door, is a bluish, whitish, glowing orb. And it flies off when I wake up. It went shooting straight through my door. And I was petrified. I felt like I was being scanned. Like that thing, whatever it was in my head and was giving me that vision. And I tried to go to sleep, and I had the overwhelming sensation that there was something in the shadows, that there was an entity in the shadows. And I thought the word shadow people, until that point, I had never heard the term shadow people, but I said there are shadow people, and they are waiting in the shadows. They are waiting there for you to go back to sleep. And I couldn't, I could not get that thought out of my head. And like I said, I had never thought of that before. That was not like a thing that I was interested in researching. And I got up, and it was like 3 a.m, and I went downstairs. I turned on all the lights. I went downstairs, and I watched TV. And I just waited until the sun came up, and I didn't go back to sleep. And then, so I went on the internet, and I researched the idea of shadow people, and it's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah, it is.
People see them. And, whether they're demons or whatever, I don't know. But it happened, and I think that, yes, Mike Hogue says I was abducted. I don't know, man. I've got another one. Later we'll get into. But I want Methods to tell a story.
I know. I want to hear your stories, Methods. But that was awesome, Red Pill. It was terrifying, actually, but chills.
All right. Well,
Same.
I can set my popcorn aside. 'Cause that was all awesome.
Popcorn?
Right? Yeah. And I can get into some stuff here.
Methods. I'm sorry, man. Let me just say thank you to Stealth Bomber. He said, I had a shadow person by my bed when I was 4 years old. I'm 53 now and remember it as if it was yesterday. And then White Hat, our good friend White Hat, says, yo, beer. Okay, continue.
Yeah, and okay, that makes complete sense if you know White Hat, so that's good. Hope life is well, buddy. I'm gonna get back to talking about crazy stuff. So here we are. Okay, so I'm gonna start off, I guess, first with a story that it's a two-parter. I'm gonna talk about my mother. I've mentioned stuff about her before. Not everybody catches tweets. But first off, I want to say that my grandparents were missionaries. Actually, my family comes from a very, big line of ministers and, missionaries and stuff. I would have been the 5th generation preacher, but I guess we'll settle for YouTube live streams. But with that said, my grandparents were missionaries in Africa. And they would tell me some stories about what were happening there. That was definitely interesting. But one in particular has to do with my mother, because they knew being out there, like anybody that was like, call them a witch doctor or anything like that, did not want my family there. They didn't want anything to do with it. They would show up and try to cause problems at what you would call, I guess, a revival or, a ministry meeting. But the whole thing that was going around is that they were collecting children. They were going around and collecting them to do whatever they do, the stuff we research.
Wait, the witch doctors, or they were saying that your grandparents were part of this?
No. The witch doctors were going around collecting children at this time.
Okay.
And with my grandparents being, known missionaries in this area, they knew of it. They knew to be aware of it. And all of that stuff. Well, my mother was probably about, if I remember the story correctly, about 6-9 months old, something about that time. And she was in the crib in the living room where they were staying. And my grandfather was in the other room grabbing something. Well, he came back in the room, and there is the most known, I guess, witch doctor of the area literally holding my mother, ready to bail, do what they do, right there holding my mother. And my grandfather, so just like you just walk in the room to go grab something, and then you come back in and this moment's happening where it's kind of awkward. Because this witch doctor, as I understand, it's not like some big person. It wasn't whatever. I don't know which sex they were. I don't know too much about it, but they had this moment, and my grandfather just didn't know what to do. It was just that split second of, what am I walking into? So what came out of his mouth was the name of Jesus. He just said Jesus. And the witch doctor just stared at him all weird and kind of, cocked the head to the side type thing. And he just said, again, Jesus. And the witch doctor just kind of just looked even more terrified. And then my grandfather goes, in the name of Jesus. And as he's saying, put my daughter down, the witch doctor drops my mother into the crib and bails out the front door. Never to be seen again while they were there. Which would have been an early end to the methods world, because that was my mother over there. And he's got other stories that, for time's sake, I won't get into. But as far as those kind of things that we research, it really hit home. Finding out about this stuff about sacrifice and rituals and stuff, I was like, okay, well, I'm a degree away from that. Because of my mother. But to then segue into another part of my mother's story, my mother ended up being epileptic. They don't know if it was a cheerleading accident that she had when she was 14, when she was dropped. They don't necessarily know. And I know Dr. B can kind of confirm that sometimes you have an idea, but you don't know if they were born with it and it developed at that time. But she would have seizures regularly. And my mom she's still my role model, because she would have a seizure in school, get home, recover from it, and still walk herself back to school because she wanted the education. She didn't want to be held back by this stuff. Okay. So cut to, she meets my dad, who's, at a Christian college. And the fun little story about that is that my dad, he's walking around with his roommate. It's their second year of college, seeing all the freshman girls there. Cause anybody who understands this stuff, it's, if you're a preacher, you go to the college, you're going to meet who you're going to marry. And most of the women at that time who would go to this college knew that they were going to meet who they were going to marry going into the ministry. Mm-hmm. It was kind of the culture. So he points at my mother at the time to his roommate and says, "You see that girl right there?" And he had never talked to my mom. He goes, "That's the one I'm going to marry." It just clicked in his head.
Oh, wow.
And cut to a few years later, that roommate is the best man in their wedding. So it became this, so it's pretty cool. But with that said, she was epileptic. Dr. B can, agree with me here. Being epileptic and pregnant is an issue.
Yep.
You have a seizure, you both can go, the baby and the mother. Go ahead.
Oh, just there's different epileptic medications that you have to be on. A lot are toxic to babies, and so it's you have to know. But it's more dangerous too, just because the ones that are safe for pregnancy aren't as, depending on the type of seizure she would have, some of them aren't as effective.
Right. And this was back in the early 80s.
Yeah.
So it was during a lot of it was like testing medication, the trials, if you will. And they told her, that she had my sister who's a few years older than me. They told her to not even get pregnant again. You won't make it through a second one. And, here I am, limbs intact. I'm okay. But, she got through that, praise God for that. She got through all that. But the sad part, I promise this gets good, was that I was about 6 years old, a couple weeks before my 7th birthday. And I've never really told this story publicly because, it's sad. I try to keep things positive. But I started having dreams about, the start of a week. And it was dreams of my mother gone. She was just not there anymore. She wasn't around. It was a lost, it was just life without her. And I would wake up and she would be, and I would be just screaming and freaking out because I was a mother's boy. My dad's awesome, don't get me wrong, but I was a mother's boy. No problem saying that. And I would run in the room to make sure I saw her there, wake her up, make sure she was breathing. And this went on for a week straight. I just could not. I just wake up to this idea of her being gone. Well, cut to that Sunday, my father being a preacher. My mother used to, get up in the mornings on Sundays and go take her shower first. And then, and then go prep breakfast. Me being mother's boy, I'd wake up during that time. And I would go to the bathroom door, knock, and, and be like, "Hey, Mom," just say hey to her. And she'd say, "Hey, son, we're going to eat this. You got your clothes ready," whatever, just through the door. Well, this Sunday morning, I go and do that, and she doesn't answer. I don't know what's going on, but I then knock again, don't hear anything. Well, I'm like, all right, well, I'm tired. It's kind of early. I'm gonna go lay down. Everything's fine. Well, I wake up and to my dad running through the house. I walk into the hallway. He tells me to get in my bedroom, and being a preacher, he still said it in a way that I won't say on here, for me to get back in my room. And the next thing you know, I'm hearing police shredding my yard, ambulance shows up, the whole nine. I'm put in my room. I don't get to see anything, but what I find out is that she had an epileptic seizure in the shower and drowned. Very tragic, still hard to, to still talk about, but, so, the whole, the church was there. We were all praying, doing what we could, the whole, my dad had to come back and say, "Hey, Mom's not coming home." So there was that. Well, my grandfather, drove across state to be there real quick, the same missionary grandfather, her father. And he pulled me, he was there with the hospital, all that stuff, cut to our family, getting through a very hard time. That at some point, I know me and Red Pill or whoever will get into, more stuff about our lives. But I got to be about 14 or 15, and I was old enough and I was curious about what happened at the hospital. So I talked to my grandfather. And he tells me, I was like, hey, so what happened at the hospital? And he goes, well, didn't your dad tell you? I was like, no. He goes, well, I mean, I want you to know now you're old enough. Well, we got to the hospital and she was already gone. You know, the doctors already timed it that she was gone before, I even got to her. Yeah. So, I mean, I lived a little bit of regret about that because like, why didn't I go wake up my dad, be that paranoid like when I was waking up my mother? And so the doctor pulled aside my dad and my grandfather and said, hey, I want you guys to know I'm not a religious person. I'm a man of science. But I do know that you're ministers in your own right. And I want to just give you this because I can't explain it. I want you to know that scientifically what you would call a soul was gone before her body technically drowned. And so she was actually taken, to me, I believe, from this earth, which gives me a little bit more of a drive to myself, because she was given the opportunity to live longer, because with epileptics, what can happen, tragedies, she couldn't drive. But I can hold on to the fact that, myself, my sister, her helping with my mom through the church, like allowing her to make it that far. Which means, it gives me a sense of purpose and all that.
Oh, Methods. I'm so sorry. You said you were 7 when this happened?
Yeah, it was a few weeks before my 7th birthday when it happened.
Oh.
I'm so sorry about that, dude. I know that story, but I had some type of an audio issue here, and I was not able to hear you guys during the time that you were speaking until the very end. But we've spoken about this before, and again, my condolences.
Right. And I just want people, I mean, if anything, I know this is sad. I didn't mean to take this whole direction of tonight from scary, jump on the edge of your seat stuff to, about spiritual warfare and all that to that. But, if anything, take how hard I work and other people that have these situations, I wanted to stand and be like, hey, I was strong through that. I lived a life of purpose. She's smiling down on me. So I tell that story and with a smile on my face. So.
She is. She definitely is. You both are doing an amazing job right now. You were born for such a time as this. I'm just so proud of you as my friends. But that's a heartbreaking story.
Yeah, it is, dude. But
oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I mean, no doubt your mom is looking down on you from above because you've turned out to be an incredible person that I'm very, very proud to call my friend, and I'm super glad that you're here now that we actually met.
Oh yeah, no, I will full blown. That's why I push positivity, because there's no reason to allow those things hold you from your past because of what you can be. I'm just an anon that showed up on Twitter that wanted to do more. So, and to get as far as I have at this point and to meet such great people as yourself and this whole chat that's tagging me like crazy right now, it's worth it. There's love out there in this world. There's positivity, and we can go, and I can give this, this story to let people know. You can get past what you're going through. There's a purpose for your life. And just like how Dr. B said, we were born for this time. I know Red Pill and I have talked about that extensively.
Yeah.
About we were meant for this point in time. That's why it clicked and it made sense. And, sharing these kind of stories is, hard as it may be, talking about supernatural stuff personally, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, because we want to show a strength that we want to be, that we believe in, and hopefully other people will speak out. So as far as everybody here, we love you guys, and it's not all about just sharing news and, getting upset about what's going on in life. We're a family, and, we want to connect as much as possible.
Amen.
And amen. And, these relationships, when you build each other up like this and you really connect, not on a superficial level, but on this deep spiritual level with another human being, it's energizing. Before this happened, it was kind of a chore for me to talk to people, but now I'm finally connecting really well with other people who are researching this other stuff too. And I'm glad you guys are both here telling your stories right now. And Method, you said something that really resonated with me again when you talked about the premonitions that you had the week before, knowing that she wasn't going to be with you. That's happened with a lot of people that I know. Actually, like I said earlier, when this experience happened to me where that demon just basically entered my head. I was amazed that out of nowhere it just rose up deep up inside of me. And in the name of Jesus, I cast you out. I said it with authority and meaning. And I had no idea really where it came from. I was so surprised that just came up automatically. But I told that story to a bunch of physicians. And as soon as I did, they came out of the woodwork. They all started telling me their stories about how they'd been attacked since childhood like that. How some of them would wake up and have strange claw marks and scratches on their body, how they try to tell their parents and nobody would believe them, how their kids are being attacked, and asking, it just the floodgates of all these people telling me their stories. It was amazing. But one of them, there's a couple of ladies that I know that are, they're prophetic, basically. They've had experiences like that. One of my friends knew that her brother was going to die. For about a month before, she knew that her younger brother was going to die. He actually ended up being shot in the head, and landed. It was an awful firefight as their family was driving, and he landed in the lap of her mother, and they were asking, "Is everybody okay?" And they turned around, and the youngest brother dropped dead in the lap of the mother, and horrifying that happened. But God's also shown her amazing things too. One with her, for instance, and this is these when people want to laugh at and dismiss these stories, I'm talking about these women that I know. They're MD PhDs. They're at the highest academic institutions around the world. I mean, we're talking Harvard, we're talking Tulane, we're talking Emory, places like this. These are we're all experiencing it, and I'm just sad that this gets covered up and not talked about, and that people are afraid to share these stories. But anyway, with her story, she was on the phone with her grandmother one night before she went to bed, and nothing was wrong with her grandmother. Everything was fine. She wasn't sick. They had a nice conversation, and then she went to bed and was dreaming when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just these two entities, they were white beings, they looked like angels, and they grabbed her arms and they brought her out of her body, and she felt herself being lifted up out of her body, and she could see her body lying down, she could see the room, she just got taken up and up and up, and then she was in this area where all of these people were gathered around, and she saw two of her dead relatives, two of her uncles who had passed away when they were younger. They were her grandmother's sons, and she came up to them and said, "What's going on? What's happening?" And because it was a big commotion, like all the people that were congregating, she knew something was happening there. And one of the uncles turned to her and said, "Well, we don't know whether to celebrate or to be sad, because your grandmother joined us tonight." And she went, what do you mean? And then they looked at her and they said, "Wait, what are you doing here? It's not your time yet. You're not supposed to be here." And that brother got like an angry look on his face, and he put his hand on her and pressed her chest. And all of a sudden, instantly, she fell back into her body. She wakes up. She's like, "What just happened?" Because it was one of these where she was wide awake, just like my experience. I was conscious. It was not a dream.
Wow.
And so she calls up her grandmother the next morning. Grandma doesn't answer. Has her family go in and check on grandma the next day, and grandma passed away that night. And that's not the only time this has happened. It happened another time with when she was in medical school. There was a resident who when you rotate through the different departments, your internal medicine or emergency medicine, you briefly meet residents that you work with. And one day she was chatting to this, it was a really nice resident, but she didn't know her very well. And so when the next day she didn't show up, she asked why. And well, she was too afraid to ask why she wasn't there. But what had happened was that night, the night before the resident didn't show up, she'd had a dream. and she saw that resident crying. And she came up and asked her, "What's wrong? What happened?" And she's there going through her wedding album, and she's showing her the pictures of her husband that she just married, and he was wearing this white suit, this all the wedding pictures. And she's like, he died tonight. He's not with me. And she was crying, and she was comforting her. And then the next day when she gets to work, the resident's not there. Then the next day, the resident's not there. And finally, like third day, she asked, "What happened?" And they said, "Didn't you know her husband passed away in a car crash that night, the night that she had her dream?"
Oh, wow.
And then so that all the students go together to go to his wake. And right there, you know, and she just met the girl. She's never seen what her husband looked like, hadn't seen any pictures, but right there at the wake is the picture that she showed her. The resident had showed my friend of her husband in the white suit. She goes, "That's the picture. That's the picture she showed me that night." So just weird, but I mean, you can't explain that.
No, you can't. I need to do a couple of quick thank yous here. Todd Varner says, "Thank you, Red Pill and Methods, for fighting the good fight and being a light for the people." Thank you for that. Familia Barragon Fernandez Barragon 44. Thank you very much for that. CKFL, thank you for the super chat. Lady Warrenon says, "They will know you are Christians by your love." Very correct. Earth Castle Group, thank you for the super chat. Same to Love in Texas. We're All Mad Here says, "I love you all." We do love you too. Thank you for that, buddy. 1029 Barton says, "I look forward to your chats. God bless you all." And Leah Bird says, "Thank you for all you do." Thank you to each and every one of you for those super chats. I've also seen a lot of people say that they wanted my mom to jump in the call. So I am sending my mom the Zoom link so that she can call in and give her account here when it's time. So don't worry about that, guys. Mom, if you're listening, I am texting it to you. I will send you another text when it's time for you to jump in. You'll have to download the application. It's called Zoom. Now, Methods, you lost your mom. I lost my father. God's Guy and Genus Girl just said, "We are all souls with bodies, not bodies with souls. There is much more going on than meets the eye." That's absolutely correct. And I see people continuing to comment on the mic issue. Somebody says I have a short. I'm sure the microphone is pretty much brand new. I'm sure it's probably this USB cable. I'll go get a new one tomorrow, but there's nothing I can do about it right now. Also, many people asking what brand of vape I use. I can't go get it right now to tell you. I'd have to look at the company, but I would look for something that's made in America, something that is made in a reputable factory, not something like packaged in somebody's backyard, or even the vape that's custom made at vape shops. I think that you need to make sure that you get something that is factory sealed, that has as few ingredients as possible, food grade ingredients. Don't buy something that has a bunch of chemicals in it. Certainly don't buy anything that is manufactured outside of the United States. Nothing from China, nothing from anywhere else. Any of the American-made vape that I've purchased and that I liked, it has not done anything wrong to my lungs. I am under the care of a doctor, and I used to have a spot on my lungs. I love to tell this story because I smoked for like 20 years, cigarettes, more than a pack a day. I don't smoke at all anymore. My lungs have completely regenerated, and they are back to the way that they were previously. Somebody just said garbled speech. Can anyone hear me? Can I get some 5x5s? I want to make sure that people are understanding me. Methods and Dr. B, can you understand me?
I hear you.
Yeah,
okay.
You sound completely fine on my end.
All right. I see a 5x5. Great. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, and as far as smoking anything else, that's a personal choice. I don't think that we should... I don't think we should be telling anybody what to do. If you want to put something in your body that you know is going to kill you, that's on you. Go ahead and do it. That's not my choice. That's not my decision. It's not my body. I don't think we should be regulating most stuff. I'm more of a libertarian than anything else. Conservative with limited government. That's the kind of stuff that I believe in.
Just don't go full Ed Buck.
No. If you do, you're going to pay the consequences, and I'm totally in support of the full hand of the law coming down upon you. Now, I was just going to say, Methods, you lost your mom. I lost my dad in 2009. And since he passed away, I'm positive I felt his presence on numerous occasions in multiple houses. In the house that I lived in that was his, And then in my house here, even in my house here, my dad was kind of a clean freak. He loved to pick stuff up. I have had cleaning products just sitting out. I certainly didn't put out there. On the day that he passed away, he died of non-small cell carcinoma. In May of 2009, he took my daughter on a camping trip, and we grew up camping. My dad loved to be outside. He was a hiker, just like me. He came home early with my daughter, and his ankles had just swollen up, but said he couldn't walk. So took him to the VA. This was in May. By August, we finally learned that he had non-small cell carcinoma. That was August 6th. He passed away on October 6th. So just 60 days later from diagnosis to him passing. Saw him just waste away very quickly. On the last day, on October 6th, we had just moved him into hospice. We had just moved hospice into my aunt's house so that they could take care of him there, because he didn't want to be at, is that my mom right there, Mom? Or is that somebody else? I don't know who that is. QAnon?
Hello?
Hello. Who's there, QAnon? Who's that?
Oh, that was me, Dr. V.
No.
Who is this?
Yeah, there's I don't know who this is on the. That would be hilarious if Q joined the conversation, but I don't think that's Q. Anyways, so I took the day off of work because I had to help get everything set up, and I made him his last meal. I stayed with him at his bedside, and at a certain point, he told me to go home because Chloe had school the next day, my daughter had school the next day, and so I left. And about a half hour after I got home, I got the call that he had passed away. So he waited for me to leave, stayed with him all day, waited for me to leave until he passed away. And then, like I said, ever since then, I was. There have been so many different times where I could just feel that he was there. And it was subtle things. Sometimes it was something weird, like something being moved, something being put out. My dad was a Vietnam-era veteran. He did not serve in Vietnam. He served in Germany. So I don't think that he had any contact with Agent Orange. He had an upholstery shop, so he was around a lot of
analyte dyes.
Yeah, aerosolized sprays, adhesives, stuff like that. So it could have been any number of things. Plus, he smoked. He smoked until I was 5 years old. So I'm sure he was 62 when he passed away. That's not you. Okay, well, somebody in here is listed as QAnon, and I don't know who it is. So Q, we're gonna unmute you, and I'd like. Hang on, this is from QAnon to everyone. By the way, I found the link. I don't know who this is. But we're going to unmute you, Q. It won't allow me to unmute you. Who is this? Talk about paranormal.
This is so weird.
Oh, I showed it in the chat. That wasn't supposed to go in there, buddy. Sorry, yeah, that wasn't supposed to go in there. Peace. We'll see ya. I accidentally put the Zoom meeting in the chat. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to confuse anyone. That was great though. Thank you. That was I needed that at that time. I needed Q to show up in our chat. Q's back. Q's back.
Like, this is so paranormal.
I was like, mind blown.
No, they did just say in the chat. You showed in the chat. Yep. Bye. LOL. Love you.
Yep.
Love you too.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Whoever you are loved. Thanks for hanging out a second.
Simon, it's okay. It's okay, buddy. Oh, how about okay, well, Mom, do you guys have any other stories you want to tell before we get my mom in here to tell the other half of the little girl in the basement?
We can go on all night, but I want to hear your mom.
All right. Mom, go ahead and click that link. Make sure that you download Zoom. We'll get you in here, and you can join this call and tell us what happened. I will say this. We had other paranormal experiences at our old house, and my mom, at the time, she said, all you need to do is ask for God to protect you. and he will. So she said, you can say this prayer. She said, anytime you think that something's happening or you're sensing something, oh my God, Mom. Oh, crap.
Way to go, Mom.
Oh, no. Hold on. Did that show up on the...
Yeah. Showed up on there.
Oh, no.
Did you not send her how to Anon 101?
No.
Anybody? No, we failed her.
Yep. All right. Well, no big deal. Everybody just be cool about that. Okay. Now it says red pills, Mom. Okay. So she said, you can say this. I surround myself in a robe of light composed of the love of God, the power of God, and the wisdom of God. I do this not only for my own protection, but so that each one who sees it or comes in contact with it will be drawn closer to God and healed. Amen.
Amen. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And that works. I've got stories about that. But okay, no, your mom. That's
okay.
So cool.
Mom, can you hear us? Your microphone is not working, Mom. You need to unmute yourself. Not hearing it. Mom, there should be a mute button on your screen that you need to... All right. Well, let's tell another story while my mom is
I got a good one I can go with while she's trying to figure that out. As long as you yell "Mom, meatloaf" at least once, I'll be okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So growing up as a preacher's kid, you see some things. You end up fully invested. I mean, it was a Pentecostal church in the South. Okay. You're going to definitely see some stuff. So when I was in, for example, I was in church camp.
Okay, I can hear you.
Yeah, Mom. Now it's working. Methods is going to. Yeah, we can hear you. Methods is going to tell a story. So just go ahead and sit tight till he's done, and then you can tell yours.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Methods.
Oh yeah, I'll make this quick. So I was at a church camp. I'm young, 9, 10 years old. I get there and, you make friends with the people that you're there in camp. And my friend was a few years older than me, the young girlfriend, boyfriend thing. And he had introduced me to his girlfriend, the young age stuff. And she had scoliosis. Essentially her back, she even, I felt it. It was curved. It was terrible. Got to the late night, late night church services where everybody's praying over each other. And I look over and there's just people cheering and crying. And my friend is crying. She's his girlfriend's on the ground praying. Her hands are up and shaking. And then next thing you know, an ambulance shows up and takes her away. And then but everybody's praying in excitement. And I asked my buddy, I was like, hey, what's going on? And he said, how, she had a scoliosis. I was like, yeah. He goes, I had my hand on the back praying for her, and we were praying for her health, and I felt it straighten in real time.
Oh, wow.
And,
I believe it, man.
Yeah, and then they took her to the hospital to confirm things and all that stuff, and she came back. I saw her the next day, and sure enough, she was full-blown healed of what she was born with on scoliosis, and it was the power of prayer through teenagers.
Wow.
That's so amazing. You know what I do now? I pray for all my patients when I'm in the grossing room and I get their specimens. Like, I'll get breast mastectomies and things like that for breast cancer. And I as I'm grossing it, I'm there praying over it and spirit of cancer, I bind you. Why can't we all have a Dr. B, right?
That's
Am I right, chat?
That'd be so cool if Dr. B was my doctor. Dylan McConnell sent a super chat. He said, long story short, I prayed over an anorexic atheist one time. 2 days later, her demon flew through my ceiling and flooded my garage during a botched exorcism. I think that is a testament to the fact that we should not be all doing exorcisms in our spare time. But I hope you got that fixed, Dylan. Okay, Mom, are you there?
Red Pill Mom.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Red Pill's mom. Oh, this is so cool. Hi.
Hi. I'm so happy to be joining this conversation.
Hey,
So,
I just want to say.
Begin?
Well, 1 second. People are asking if Lady Warrenon is going to be a guest on the show. She is. Lady Warrenon, we will speak tomorrow. Okay, go ahead, Mom.
Okay. So let me just say, because, we've got a million stories to tell, that I have always been tapped into something, well, other dimensions, let's say. And first recollection that I have of it is when I was 7. I woke up and there was this being of light that was at the end of my bed that was praying or appeared to be in a state of prayer. Kind of freaked me out. You know, I was young. But when I told my mom about it, and my mother was a woman of great faith, she's like, okay, that's all right. That's good. That's an angel. And, you know, everything's all right. And, you know, she kept me calm about it. So it never was unusual to me. And I have stories of the first house that we lived in, but I won't go into those right now. But, you know, relative to this girl that used to live in the house that you were in, which I am still in. So let's, you know, please, everybody just see this house is protected and surrounded in light. Because I get freaked out too, you know. But she didn't live in this house when she was killed in that store, which was around the corner from the other house that we lived in.
Yeah.
So we always had, you know, sort of a proximity here. Okay, so weird things just started to happen. Like I would be lying in bed at night and I could feel like what felt like fingertips coming like up my leg. And at first I thought, is this, you know, like a mouse or something? But it wasn't. And so, you know, just things like that happen. So this one day I was in the shower and I don't know why, I was sad about something. Everybody was gone. I'm in the shower and I thought, well, why don't I just cry? Because this is a good place to just get it out and just purge. So I'm in the shower crying. And suddenly I hear from outside, like somebody standing right outside the bathroom door. And I thought it was your sister, which is weird because how would she be there? She's supposed to be in school. I can hear this, Mom.
Oh.
And it was the kind of, Mom, like, you're going to be mad at me because I'm here. And so obviously I stopped, climb out of the shower, and it was like a bad movie.
Oh.
My hand is hovering over the doorknob. I don't know whether I want to open this door or not. I'm sure something's going to be there. Nothing was there. So it got me thinking about this girl. And in those days, we didn't have the internet to look things up. So I went to the library and I found the newspaper articles about her, and I found her obituary, and I read different things. And it turned out that when she was killed, her mother was in Korea, because they were Korean. Her mother was in Korea because the mother's brother had just died. Mm-hmm. So the whole family was just sort of scattered when that happened. And I felt like this girl, she was scattered. And she was killed by gunshot, just blasted out of her body. And I think she just didn't know where to go and what to do. So coming back here to this house was like coming to a place that was familiar, that felt comfortable. Because, you know, everybody says that about my house, is that this house feels so good, it feels so comfortable. And it does have a really good energy in it. Yeah. So the feeling was that she was here for that purpose. But the whole thing is, no, you're not supposed to stick around. You need to go. You need to go into the light. You need to make that transition from this dimension to the next. And there were a series of things that happened that I can't remember all of them now, but I know there were many, many. But
I've
then
got something.
The culmination of it.
I do too, man. But okay.
Keep going, Mom.
Okay, let me just tell the last part of it then.
Okay.
The culmination of it was one night I went downstairs to do some laundry. Everybody's asleep because it's really late. And all of a sudden, this song comes through me. I start singing this song. And in my head, I'm like, I don't know what the next words are going to be because this isn't me that's doing this. And it just kept coming out. And it was, the only way I can describe it is that it had like the cadence of a Chinese or Japanese
I was gonna
or
say
Korean song.
Asian.
And it was this song of thanks, of gratitude. I have to leave you now. It's time for me to go. I love you and thank you. And I sang the song, and then it was done.
And this is while you were in the shower when you were feeling sad?
No, this is in the laundry room.
Okay. The laundry room. Okay.
This was way after I'd done the research on it and all of that.
Wow.
So no, this was after several months of this, and we would just go, it's the Korean girl. That's who it is, you know. That's what we would attribute everything to. Whole family knew about it, but that was she sang her way out, and I could feel as the words were coming out, I could feel her spirit just moving on, and then it was done, and it's never come back again.
Wow.
You helped her make her way to heaven, Mom. I think that you need to tell the story about my sister's birthday party. Do you remember that? When she had all those friends over in the basement?
Yeah, that was real weird.
That was scary.
That was real weird.
That was a poltergeist. I think that was something entirely different. But I wasn't there, and I only know it secondhand. So will you tell it?
Well, there were probably, 5 to 7 girls for the party, and so they were all in the basement room, which was like, big kind of rec room. And at some point, somebody felt like a sting on them, and it's like, ouch, oh, sting, and then somebody else goes, oh, and it goes around the room, and they're all feeling this like little, ping, and so they call me, and I'm like, I have got to do something to calm these girls down. So what can I do? So I tell them a little bit of the story, because this was during the time that all the activity was happening, and I just say, oh, it's so and so, and I'm sorry to just call her the Korean girl, but I can't remember her name right now, but I said, just tell her to go away, that's all right, and I did the surround you in light prayer and all that, and then they settled down. One of them wanted to go home.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see you.
Some of the parents were not happy.
I did not want to have to tell the parents about this. They already thought we were kind of woo-woo because this kind of stuff, we never just boxed ourselves off at 5 senses and 4 elements, because this world is so much more than that. There's spirit. You don't go to church once a week and then not insert that into the rest of your life. It's 24/7. So, when things like that happen, you call on your higher power. And I just the other night, I had this weird dream where I was like asleep in someplace else, but then I'm asleep in my bed, and I can sense something weird in the room next to me, my dressing room next to me. And Dr. B, just like you, I just, in Jesus' name, get out of here. And boom, it's gone.
Yep.
And in the same thing, because that woke me up, and I went, how did I say that so quickly? Because I didn't even think about saying that. It flew out of me.
It was like my soul.
I believe that's your angel.
Yeah, okay.
That's your guardian angel. They just send it through you. Yeah. We're protected. We have that armor of God around us.
Very true. All right, guys, it is 10:17. We've got 13 minutes before we have to go to Jason Was a Gentile. We're going to bring him in, and I'm going to allow Methods and Dr. B to stay on here. But, Mom, do you want to add anything else before we move on to the next segment?
Do we have any stories about Red Pill that he doesn't want to know?
Oh, I got those too.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it.
Hey,
we're not going to do it. No.
We'll talk, Mama 78. We'll talk.
I want to be included.
We can talk off the air.
Okay.
All right. Love you, son.
I love you too, Mom. Thank you for coming on. Thanks for sharing the story. I appreciate it.
Bye, Mom.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Love you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
That's so adorable.
Okay. Yes. Love my mom. She's a wonderful mom. Yeah, so like she was saying, you know, people thought we were woo-woo because this kind of stuff has happened to us like my whole life. On that note about the little girl saying mom outside of the door, I used to see this girl run by in the periphery of my vision. Dark brown hair, like my sister, maybe 5, 6, 7 years old, except she was wearing like an old style dress, like a velvet dress with like the big lace collar. And I would see her run by in this dress and I would think, you know, that's my sister. And then I'd look and there's nothing there. And it happened a lot. And my mom saw it too. And it happened both at the original house that we were living at when I was a small child and then at the new house that my mother lives at now.
I saw a little child once. I was really young. I was 4. I was in my grandparents' attic. And I remember seeing that little child in the corner. And then I remember being afraid to go in the attic for the next 10 years of my life. And I don't remember why. I just remember being afraid of the attic. And I'd totally forgotten this happened until talking to my dad one day. And he goes, do you remember the time you saw the little kid in the attic? My grandmother made him go up in the attic to look around. And then like it flooded back. It hit me. I went, I remember. That's why I was scared. And it, you know, I told my grandmother I thought it was a ghost, but yeah.
Wow. Methods, I think that on our next broadcast where we get together and do this, we should do this roundtable again, but we should have the whole segment filled with people calling in on the Zoom number, so that we can have the audience tell their story. Because so many people have said, I have this story, I have that story. Everybody here has a story, something like this that's happened to them. It's a testament to the idea of how widespread it is, and I think we should be talking about it. I'm glad we're talking about it. This is great. I love that we're getting into this.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And I know that even like me and Dr. B haven't even scratched all the stories, you know, that we would talk about. So maybe we need to do a part 2.
Yeah, we can totally do that.
Yay!
I'm all about it. And as far as a call in, yeah, I'd love to hear some people's stories that are, you know, make me feel better about mine. So yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
All right. Well, you know, like I said, we've got 10 minutes left. So Methods, didn't you have another story that you were going to take?
Oh man, I got so many. Just because I mean, you growing up in the ministry, you know, during those times in the '90s when, you know, the Spirit of God was coming across the U.S. I mean, I know a lot of people might remember Brownsville in Florida when that broke out. You know, but I guess one that I'll say, I'll leave this on a positive one, and then I'll save some of the other ones for the next time we light a campfire. Basically at that same church, okay, I grew up in this church. I was there for over a decade, you know, from young on. My dad took over that church and it blossomed and went great. I got to see so many people, you know, going through hard times being prayed over, and then boom, it would just change. And you could just feel it in the air. I mean, you know, I fancy myself at times an empath. Maybe I felt it just because I was in the room, but just to see people going through, you know, these transformations was great. But there's this one woman in particular. She was always very, very nice to me. She was, you know, I'm not going to try to guess her age, but she was older. She was in a wheelchair. I never saw her out of the wheelchair for years. But she was always there, always at the church, always nice, always, you know, she was the one that had like the best candy in the church that you would go hang out with. You know, there's always that one, you know, to go visit before church starts. My grandma worked at a candy factory. So you already know that your friends loved you because of your grandmother. Mm-hmm. So this woman, you know, gets brought up for prayer. It was an open thing. I think we had a guest preacher came through, and it was just really, really great. And she went up for prayer. You know, I'm young, you know, I'm probably 10 or 11 at this time. I've been seeing this woman for, you know, 8 or 9 years. And the next thing I know, I hear this like joyous scream of a woman. Yeah. And how do you really describe an excited older woman? But she just, you know, lets it out, gets everyone's attention. And when I turn my screaming, loving Jesus. And she got prayed over at the altar. And I don't know if she was, I don't want to lie. I don't know if she was crippled, but it was at that age where she wasn't walking. You know, like I said, I've never seen her out of a wheelchair. And I watched her full blown run up and down the aisle for like the same speed I would get in trouble running down the aisle as a preacher's kid, and full blown prayed over. And then every Sunday after that, I saw her show up in a wheelchair but stand up to pray during the altar, and it always stuck with me. It was amazing to see.
Aww.
Wow.
I love that story.
That is a good one. Sorry, you guys. I had that short again in the microphone. I had to unplug and then plug back in. Hopefully it's going to work. We just had the caller dox themselves. Richard Stewart says he's sorry. He's going to leave us alone. And I said, don't worry, Richard, you'll be calling in next time for sure. And I'm serious about this. I want to schedule this right now, you guys, because I want to have this set up. Now, Methods, the next time you're scheduled to be on, well, that would be the 18th of October. Would you guys be available later on in or earlier in October to do this again? Like, say, on the 12th of October?
Well, we could honestly just open up that night if you don't have anybody else scheduled.
Okay. Well, I don't right now.
Because I know that will be, and I guess we can kind of announce this then about the third Friday thing.
Yes.
If you want to go with that. I will be joining Red Pill every third Friday of the month to hang out with you all, talk about, news, what's going on in the world, us bouncing back and forth. A lot of people have been, asking for us to get together. So we decided to do every third Friday. I'll be around for at least an hour.
Yep.
But on the 18th, we were scheduling for a super secret announcement that will be coming out around that time that I will not be announcing till then. So don't ask me. Chew on it.
You guys will have to tune in for that one. And so let's just say it right now. Make sure that you guys are here every Friday at 10 p.m. and Saturday at 9 p.m. But next third Friday of October, the 18th, definitely be here for Methods. And Dr. B, if you can come back, then that would be great too. But we will do an open call-in show. People will be able to call in and tell your paranormal story live on the air with 2,000 of your best friends here at Red Pill 78. Just a couple of quick thank yous. Dylan McConnell wants to clarify his exorcism story. He mentions it was an anorexia. He mentions anorexia because it was a bowel exorcism. I'm not familiar with this. But Tanette Booth says campfire for Song Babe. Thank you very much, both of you. Syllabor says Red Pill's mom is a natural. She needs her own channel. I've said that before. My mom has actually done plenty of voice work, so she's real good. We just got to get her like a solid mic. Get me a solid mic too. Robert Gates says love your mom, Red Pill 78. Thanks for that, Robert. I appreciate it. And Stealth Bomber says campfire stories with RP 78. Awesome. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. What about you, Dr. B? Any more quick stories that you want to get into before Jason Was a Gentile hops into the call with us?
Oh, I've got tons, but just real quickly, the one about the different doctors that would come to me to talk about seeing possessed patients. I had 4 different doctors independently text me, not knowing the others were texting about this, talking about how they had experiences with patients to where the patient's eyes went completely black.
What?
Yes.
Oh.
Bring this up at the end of the stream.
Sorry. No, it's
not going to sleep tonight.
Right.
It gets so deep because these are patients that were, well, I don't want to make it take too long, but we'll bring it up next time I come on. I can join the 18th because this one it'll take way too long. But I think some of them were MK Ultra victims, and the psychiatrist telling me these stories didn't realize this, but some of them weren't. But 4 different experiences. One was talking about being in a ritual in the Vatican, down below the Vatican. And my friend was like, I couldn't challenge their delusion. So I was just writing them down, and I look up and their eyes, the whites and all of their eyes, it's completely black. And she said it felt soulless, and it felt like something evil was behind me. Well, was behind those eyes, and it was summing me up and staring me down. That happened in the same exact testimony of it was 2 others that happened. Again, it was on the psych ward, and another one, it was in the ER, and it completely black. Looked at, and they were all Christian. They were all Christian and knew what to do to, well, one of them didn't, but I mean, this is happening. Demons, man. And MK Ultra rituals are done to demonize these children. They're brought in as part of the people that are born into these bloodlines. What my friends that I've been helping have gone through, they are summoning demons through these rituals, and it's to keep these mind controlled people trapped, and it blows my mind.
I just want to say happy birthday to Richard Stewart.
Happy birthday, Richard.
I don't know if it's actually his birthday, but he says, Red Pill 78, I am way too happy right now. By the way, thanks for making my day. I am 13.
Oh.
Richard, I'm glad that we have a family-friendly program and you can be here hanging out with us. So next time you definitely will get to be on the call-in.
And whatever time, it's your bedtime. But.
Yeah.
But
man, I did not go to bed at 10:30 when I was 13.
Right. Yeah.
I know you had a girl that was hanging out.
That's
at your
right.
bed
That's right. Just keeping me up till 4 a.m.
But I do think, since Dr. B, you said you couldn't be here on the 18th, maybe we can work out something behind the scenes to do the part 2 of this conversation that we've been having in
Sounds
between.
good.
Yeah, we will. We will. Jason was a Gentile is going to hop in any second. And he is going to tell us his own paranormal story, and then we're going to go ahead and watch his new video with Luke Slytalker. Looks like Luke was unable to be with us tonight. He's got some stuff he's got to take care of. But is that him? Hey, Jason.
Yay.
What's up, buddy? Can you hear us? Maybe make sure your mic is working. I got no mic from you.
All right.
There you are.
Oh, there you are. Here you are, buddy. How you doing?
Doing so excellent. So excited to be here with you guys tonight on a Saturday.
Awesome. I'm very happy that you're here with us. So obviously we're telling some ghost stories, paranormal stories from our lives. Have you got any type of spooky story, something that's happened to you that you can't explain that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I've got a story that definitely freaked me out big time. Okay. I was, my name's Jason, but I go by Jason was a Gentile. So that's biblical, just so you know. So I'm going to approach it from a Christian perspective.
Yeah.
My wife and I were with some people ministering at a assisted living home. And, so this goes into spiritual warfare, Yep. And so all the people from my church exited out the front. My wife and I, for some reason, we parked on the other side of the building. I had my guitar with me because we were singing Amazing Grace and stuff. And we were walking through the hallway in this building we hadn't been before. And this guy who's got gray hair, probably in his 50s, he walks up to my wife and I, and he goes, "Hey, do you think that you think that the fact that I was born was a mistake?" Oh. And I was like, that's just pretty bizarre because he wasn't there while we were singing and worshiping and witnessing. And so I just was like, I took that as a God wink, So I just was already kind of all up in with the Holy Spirit. Well, the Holy Spirit's always with us, right? But I was definitely, walking in the Spirit at that moment. And so I was like, where did you get that from? That you were a mistake, So I just launched right into it. And, he was like, well, my mom said I was a mistake. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, let me explain something to you, brother. So God loves you. God is your father, and you are not a mistake. And I just went into all about creation and, we're the image bearers of God and all this. And I was like, here's the freaky weird part. So that was all weird that he just came up to me like that. And I thought right out the gate that he had a demon or something just by the look in his eye. Mm-hmm. And so this was at the time whenever I would be witnessing to people, I would be very willing to just hug a stranger, chest to chest, instead of just maybe hey, bye, So we, a pound, right? Yeah. So then we just got a good chest to chest hug going on, and he had me in this bear hug, and when I was ready to pull away, he wouldn't let me go.
Ugh, I hate it when people do that.
It was so scary. But he was and I was stuck in this dude's arms, and then he was just really hugging me and stuff, and then he let me go, and then he goes, boop. He just went boop on my nose. there is comedy. It is funny, but it's just that was a tripped out experience.
Yeah. Am I the only one listening right now that wants to do that to the next person they hug?
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, okay, mental note. Oh man. Well, Jason, tell us about this video and this song that was written by you and Luke Slytalker. For anybody who doesn't know, Luke's been on the show before, good friend of the show. He's a great guy. He is an excellent researcher. He's the one who found the hidden data in the photographs of the billionaire deceased financier. We'll call him J.E. just for the purposes of the censors here on YouTube. With the island, with the private island. So anyways, Luke and Jason got together. Luke is also a musician. Take it away, Jason. Was a Gentile.
Yeah, so I was, he hit me up and he was like, hey, let's do a song. And I was like, yeah, sure. So I'm just like in the habit of serving up choruses to people. Mm-hmm. And so I just knocked out this hook and I sent it over to him. And then we probably took about a good 10 or 15 passes on it and then sat on the track for a little while. And then I was like, hey, do you want to release this song? This was like 2 weeks ago. I was like, hey, do you want to release this song? And he was like, yeah, man, go for it. You got my blessings. Rock it out. Do whatever you want.
Sweet.
And I was like, yay. And so knocked out a lyric video and, I guess the tune is really about like keeping the MAGA hat on, not like physically, but like keeping the MAGA going. And there's a line in there about Kanye and he basically says, he took his hat off.
It's more than a hat; it's a lifestyle. All right, so we're gonna get into it here, and I see that that you used another excellent appropriation from the Cabal here with this particular beat. Is that correct?
Yes. Oh, sure, for sure. Yeah. So this is a remix of Ariana Grande's song that is originally titled "Bloodline."
Okay, excellent. Well, here we go. It's coming up. Ain't Just a Party Line lyric video with Jason was Gentile and Luke Slytalker. Here we go, guys.
Jason was a Gentile and Luke Slytalker.
That's me.
Oh, the Patriots are back in control. Trump will never sell us out. No. I put this on my life. It ain't just a party line, baby. This is wrong.
You know what, guys? The video's not showing. I do apologize. Hold on just a second. I got to fix something. There we go. We're going to go all the way over here with that. Okay. Oh, it is showing. Sorry about that. Here.
We suffer from delusion to assume there was collusion. A Trump's a Russian agent talking plots and planning with Putin. It's been 2 years now and that's the half of it. Still nothing on those Clinton servers, those emails attached to it. Oh, what's the matter? That was just a matter, guys. Comey said it's fine, why's there all this chatter? I think the insurance policy is gone awry. Texterize and prove the lies where there's a coup that they devised.
Oh, the Patriots are back in control. Trump will never sell us out, no. I put this on my life. It ain't just a party line, baby, this is wrong or right. The difference between me and Kanye is I never took my hat off. I never took my hat off. You see the difference between me and Kanye is I never took my hat off. I never took my hat off. Oh, the Patriots are back in control. Trump will never sell us out, no. I put this on my life.
Baby, this is wrong or right. With the elephants in the room bringing doom. All the Democrats are going, ah, crap, are we gonna lose? Changing tunes, yeah, changing minds, make the move. Walk away to the right side, there is plenty of room. A MAGA-fitted cap, renegade in the bag. Paddy wagon, trees and dragon, get more marked on our map. We are enjoying this economy. That record stock market with unemployment under target, bro, that's a fact.
The Patriots are back in control. Trump will never sell us out, no. I put this on my life. It ain't just a party line, baby, this is wrong or right. The difference between me and Kanye is I never took my hat off. I never took my hat off. You see the difference between me and Kanye is I never took my hat off. I never took my hat off. Oh, the Patriots are back in control. Trump will never sell us out, no. I put this on my life. It ain't just a party line, baby, this is wrong.
I am tired of the fake news telling me to stay tuned, trying to keep me brainwashed. The election's coming soon, and November's when they're gonna lose. Got it, dude? Oh, wait, you might be no IQ. Yeah, there ain't no expiration date for the red wave. Don't wait, get registered to vote before it's too late. Rock, run, skate, Uber, take a friggin' date. Just better be getting to the place where our republic's shaped.
The Patriots are back in control.
Yeah.
Trump will never sell us out, no. I put this on my life. Patriots are back in control. Yeah. Trouble never sell us out, no. I put this on my life. It ain't just a party line. Maybe this is wrong or right.
Excellent. Great song yet again, Jason and Luke. That guy can flow, dude. Like, it doesn't matter what he's doing. He's spitting lyrics with some precision. I love it.
He's got his own little thing going on with the way like his vocals, the way he talks and his lyric choices, his own like little style there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely love it. I got to do a couple of quick thank yous. Texas Patriots said, great show last night and tonight. Blessings and favor upon you all. Where we go one, we go all worldwide. Trump 2020. Jennifer Small, thank you for that super chat. Jennifer Small says, all family pics I had displayed a foyer table fell over like dominoes just before I went to a doctor's appointment. Doctor saw a problem later on, and it turned out to be ovarian cancer stage 2, treated 10 years ago. A-OK, spirit warning. That's pretty incredible, Jennifer. Glad you're safe, and thank you for the super chat. God's Guy and Gina's Girl says, love it, Jay, you are amazing. Love you all, family. Bless you all. Thank you very much for that, Guy and Gina. Love you both. And speaking of people who have like a direct connection to God, maybe a little prophetic, that's Gina. Okay, I'm going to put that out there right now. She's got a direct line to the Holy. And then Vote Trump 2020 says, love Jason. Thank you for all your songs and RP78 best news on YouTube. Thank you so much. And Richard Stewart, yes, this live stream will be available to watch immediately following this broadcast. You can definitely show your brother and show all your friends at school. Tell them that you were on our Red Pill 78 and you'll be back. Oh, so Jason, what else is coming up for you here? What do you got going on? You've got a couple of new songs here, buddy.
Yeah, I did a song with a guy named Carlos Rossi called Meme War. Which is kind of tipping a hat to the meme smiths or the memeticians. That's pretty cool. That's on my YouTube, and so songs are still happening. That's cool. There's something I'm really super excited about that's been kind of real swirling around on my station. Look, I only started a YouTube station because of you, Red Pill. I had a song and I started a station because you were like, hey man, you need a YouTube. So I'm like, cool. So, but recently I just like, I just want to share my testimony on my YouTube station. And so
I saw that.
Oh, you did?
I did see it, yeah. I got notifications on for you, bro. That's how I roll.
Dude, that's what's up. I got your notifications too.
They don't work all the time, but I try. Anybody that I'm like directly friends with, I try to keep up with their YouTube channels.
Yeah, I just hit the subscribers and roll at the top to see which has the blue dot, and if the notifications don't pop up.
Right on.
I get it anyways.
Well,
so I shared my testimony real quick, and just right quick, and then so the miraculous is that it took me 4 years to do that. Not 4 years to talk about Jesus in my life, but 4 years to do a video. And I shared my testimony, and it took about 30 minutes to do so. And then there was this person named J.S., and Jeas, and her son listens to my music for like 30 minutes every morning. It's a part of his routine.
Oh, wow.
And she wrote this long comment about she could never understand why he was listening to my music, and because he's a country music fan. And then when I shared my testimony, she says the night before she writes this comment, she's like, I know why now he's so fixated on you is because tomorrow morning he's going to accept Jesus as his Lord and Savior.
Oh.
And I did a call at the end of the video. And then so she was like, now I know why, because God is using you in this moment to speak to my son, Alex.
That's amazing.
And I was like, cried when I read that. I was like, whoa, dude, whoa. And there were like 3 other comments, like Patriot Slush also was struggling with transcendental meditation and stuff like that. And then the video came at the right time for him, and he recommitted his life to Christ. And this one gal, Toots96X, was like, she wanted to know where to start in the Bible, and I told her to start with Mark. There's just some really, God is like working through that video. And then the next day, I'll cut it off here. And then the next day, JS says, hey, my son accepted Jesus in his heart, professed that Jesus was Lord, believed in his heart, and professed with his mouth, and that's how one is saved. She goes, so my son is now saved because of the video.
That's incredible.
Like, whoa! So I bring that up because there seems to be like a little bit of a YouTube ministry that's kind of like in the very early stages of my channel, and that's kind of where it's headed. So cool. You asked what was up, and so that's kind of what's up.
Awesome, dude. Well, I think that's amazing, and it's always incredible to me how things will take place so that something like that can happen, Well, seemingly random chance encounters lead to something incredible like that. Well, listen, people said they wanted to hear more songs, so you guys want to listen to that Meme War video?
Yeah.
I'm down for it. Okay, so we're going to go over to Meme War next. Here we go, guys.
Yeah, Jason was a Gentile. They don't understand, homie. I guess we gotta break it down for them. Know the mission, mimetic division, copper bomb precision, kinda like a physician in this war of attrition. Gotta make a decision, so light the ignition and keep it hot like a kitchen. Red pill music, break down the delusion. No chill music, take down the illusion. Gotta settle the score. We're sheep no more when it rains and pours in the digital war. Let's go.
I love that meme, yeah, yeah, yeah. But it goes way beyond something funny. This is warfare. I love that meme, yeah. But it's way beyond something funny. This is warfare.
I'm a color deception when you start to question all your perceptions. Flat through deception. You're a slave to you, like everyone else. You were born into bondage. Know thyself, break the ties that bind. Now free your mind one step at a time. Put it on the line. This is real as a game. So plant the seed. Y'all better not quit. Believe they need the meme.
I love that meme, yeah, yeah, yeah. But it goes way beyond something funny. This is warfare. I love that meme, yeah. But it's way beyond something funny. This is warfare. Ooh, let me see that meme, meme, meme. Ooh, let me share that meme, meme, meme. Ooh, let me hear that meme, meme, meme. Ooh, I love that meme, 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 meme.
It's not a game. Fight some more. Make that change. It's time for war. If you're in the fight, fight some more. From talk to length, it's time for war.
Do you think that when you click the share button that it don't mean nothing? We change minds one at a time and we won't leave no one behind. I love that meme, yeah, yeah, yeah. But it goes way beyond something funny. This is warfare. I love that meme, yeah. But it's way beyond something funny. This is warfare. Ooh, let me see that meme, meme, meme. Ooh, let me share that meme, meme, meme. Ooh, let me hear that meme, meme, meme. Ooh, I like that meme, 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 meme.
That was great, too. What do you guys think? Did you like that song? I certainly did. Methods and Dr. B, you guys like these new songs by Jason Was a Gentile?
I personally have to say this. People know I'm a metalhead. I listen to what would be played at the apocalypse or the end of the world. With that said, Jason, I've been a fan of you since day one. It just gets better. I'm looking for that track that I'm like, all right, I don't like that one. And so far, it hasn't happened. So keep going. And by the way, if you haven't done a MAGA challenge yet, I'd love to see that happen. You throw your hat in there.
Yeah, for sure. I've been watching that. Bryson Gray. You should have Bryson Gray on the show, man.
I've never heard of him, but put me in contact.
That's who we were talking about earlier that did the MAGA challenge. Yeah. So everybody in the chat, politely flood his Twitter with you should be interviewed on Red Pill 78's channel. We would love to have him on.
Yes, do it.
And I would love to see a collab in between him and Jason, just saying.
Yeah, I sent him a direct message on Twitter, and he said he's down for it. I just wanted to wait a little bit until his Twitter just blew up. He had like 1,000 followers, and then the clip of him went on the news, and now he's got like 26,000 followers on Twitter. So I'm sure he's got his hands full. I didn't want to like take any of his energy away from what he's doing right now. But yeah, for sure.
Good stuff. Christine in Texas just said, such a fun show. I've had a smile on my face the entire time. Thank you very much for that, Christine. Appreciate that super chat. Yeah, this has been a great show. I mean, like, my favorite shows are when we can hang out, just talk about stuff, and we can have the luxury of laughing at what's going on. And, you know, sometimes people don't like it. People don't like it when we laugh. But I got to say, if you can't laugh at yourself, if you can't have a good time, then something's wrong, and you need to take a look at that. Because humor is the best medicine.
And Jason, I love your work. Unfortunately, I can't. I'm on my phone right now, so I can't hear the music video and I can't see the live chat. But I've always loved all the songs that you posted. You're very talented.
Thanks for saying that. That's awesome. You never know, what your reach is going to get to and what's anything is going. So I think it's a good idea just to continue on.
It's been fun watching the Jason journey since I at least came across you, and then you met Severe, and then each track that came out after that, and after that's always been a hit. So yeah, man, keep going.
Oh, I was totally dancing to Venezuela, that music video with all three of you, and then with Educating Liberals. I love that guy.
Dylan's a good guy.
Yeah, it's a great video, and even your mod Brianna, right? She's the one that did the graphics.
Mm-hmm.
She did an amazing job too.
She also did a video for God's Guy. He did a metal song, and that premiered over on Space Shot's channel, and she did a great job on that too. It is not an easy thing. Making lyric videos is one thing, but like syncing lyrics to multiple video shots of people singing, syncing that audio, that big props to her, because that's something that I don't have the skills to do. So I don't know if she's listening or not, but here's another plug for Bree. She also designed all the shirts in my store, teespring.com/stores/redpill78. You can find that in the description of every one of my videos, including this one right here, Bigley, winning Bigley, Donald Trump. That's where we're at. Oh, guys. Okay, well, Jason, do you got any more paranormal stories, man? We got 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Well, when we moved into my house as a kid, like the house my mom lives in now, I guess we moved when I was in 11th grade. And so it was my first night in the room, my bedroom, and I had some friends over and we were all sleeping there. And I opened my eyes in the middle of the night, and I saw, like, in the doorway, my wife is watching this now. She's probably going to be like, oh, you never told me that story. I saw in the doorway, there was like a person, like, I thought it was my older brother, but like was like sitting here like this with their hand, like, just kind of looking at me. But it didn't make me scared or anything like that. But I think I would, since there's 10 minutes left in the show, I just didn't, I have a microphone. I'd like to say, like, the take home from this thing should be, I know a lot of people are drawn to the paranormal and the spiritual warfare aspect of things, but the take home from this has got to be that the power over these types of things is Jesus' name.
Exactly.
Oh, for sure. That's what's helping the MK Ultra victims. It's through Jesus. He's the only one that is helping these people out of the hell that they were born into. And I'm seeing one miracle after another with them. And I'm just so at awe and privileged to get to be a small part of it and to watch miracles happen daily. It just blows my mind.
Dr. B, when are we going to have you come on to speak about the MK Ultra work that you've done? This is something we've been hinting around for quite some time, and I would really like to get you dialed in and talking about this stuff specifically.
Sure. Anytime you want, anytime after August 18th. I've got a couple of big things on my plate work-wise, so I'm going to have to be plugged out and not on social media for a bit, which is killing me. But after October, I'll be free again. So after mid-October, I'll be free.
Okay, I thought you said August 18th, October 18th.
Yeah, October. Sorry, October.
It's okay. All right. Well, we'll continue to have the conversation, but we got a lot of good shows coming up in the next several weeks, guys. And what Method said about spamming that guy to come on the show, if there's anybody that you want, I mean, obviously do it respectfully, but if there's anybody out there that you have a connection to, that's an author or a musician or just has an interesting story, and they want to, maybe might want to come on my show, then talk to them about that. Tell them that they can get a hold of me on email. They can reach me through Twitter at RedPill78. I got a lot of people asking for everybody's Twitter handles here. So why don't we start with Jason, Methods, Dr. B. Each of you give your relevant social media and Twitter information, how you want people to contact you.
So Twitter is at Jason was Gentile. And so my Twitter, I just post, all I do with my Twitter is post my latest YouTube videos on it. So YouTube is in the comment section on my YouTube videos is where it's all going down, at least for me.
All right, Methods?
Yeah, on my end, you guys know I'm posting my chaos at M2 Madness over on Twitter. I had my 2 cents on things as well as tweeting out clips I find that are fun. But you'll also find me hanging out with Red Pill as well as Space Shot 76 at Saturday mornings, 12 p.m. Eastern, where we cover the news throughout the week. for those that don't have time to keep up in everyday stuff.
And Dr. B.
On Twitter, I am at Lilaps777. So that's LAILAPS. And that stands for the storm in Greek, which is, I was looking for something. So at Lilaps777. And then I hang out on Gab too a little bit. I'm not that active on social media, but on Gab, what am I? I'm at JJurns, which is JEJURNS.
Okay, and I am dropping Dr. B's Twitter right now in the chat for those that couldn't spell it or hear that. And you follow her like crazy and make her cell phone blow up for me, all right?
Oh, no.
Song Babe, I just saw your message. I'll go ahead and check it out. Somebody that wants to be interviewed, I think. Always looking for content. All right, guys. Well, you can always find me at RedPill78, both on Twitter and on Gab. Of course, also on YouTube. I would also like to ask everyone watching this right now, if you don't have a YouTube account, just sign up for one so that you can subscribe and then turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss a video that I put out. I put out videos every day, Sunday through Thursday, at 5 p.m. Eastern on Sundays, and then Monday through Thursday it's at 6 p.m. Eastern. On Fridays we have the live stream at 10 p.m. Eastern, and then Saturdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Occasionally I will go ahead and do like a short little update video, maybe something more personal, not produced. Muffin is jumping into my office chair right now, making a bed. She's ready to go for a WALK, so we're getting close to that time. I guess, make sure that you like and share my videos all the time, guys. I need that help from you because that's the only way that we're going to be able to get the information out. My videos are not recommended or shared by the corporation that handles the ownership of this platform. So I really appreciate it. That's the best way that you guys can support me. Of course, if you want to support in other ways, you can always look in the descriptions of the videos. There's different ways in there. I want to say a special thank you to all of my patrons for specifically sending those monthly donations. I am doing a giveaway, a t-shirt giveaway for those patrons after this show tonight. I'm going to be choosing a person at random from Patreon to give a t-shirt to. Hopefully everybody got that message that I sent out the other day regarding that. And then every month here on the channel, we're going to be doing a subscriber giveaway and then a patron only giveaway, because I want everybody to get the opportunity to win a Red Pill 78 t-shirt. And we do have some new designs that are going to be coming out here soon for the fall, so go ahead and keep your eyes out for that. Dr. B, do you have any final thoughts that you want to leave the audience with?
Just if you're questioning about God, if you were in a position where I was when I was clearly against God, if any of this tonight has resonated with you guys, all you have to do, just ask him to show you if he's real. It happened. He's answered my prayers so many times when I've asked him to show me things. It just if you're inspired at all tonight, just earnestly pray to him and see what happens in your life. My life it's been the most amazing 2 years since having God in my life. I'm just so honored and privileged with the doors that he's opening up, and that he's allowed me to meet awesome people like you.
Amen.
So thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you for being here yet again. I really appreciate it. Methods, what would you like to leave the audience with tonight?
Oh man, after that, I don't know. Dr. B just nailed it. I love that we are having these kind of conversations. I know we cover a lot of things in real time, but to have the conversation about personal experiences, putting ourselves out there, we welcome anybody wanting to come and talk about those things. If you have a story to tell or whatever, reach out to me, Red Pill, or the Twitter handle I dropped for Dr. B that's blowing up right now.
It is. This is so cool.
And by the way, I'm dropping that just for good measure again. But with that said, I think this is great. We need to have more conversations like this, even if it's not about this stuff, just more of just an open discussion about stuff. So 78, once again, thank you for hosting it. Jason, you keep crushing it as usual. Keep going. Anything you have, I will listen to and not tell my metal friends that I'm listening to it.
Jason, any final thoughts for the audience?
Well, thanks for having me on. A lot of fun being with you guys here in this live chat. And then, said it already, the way that one is saved is by believing that Jesus is Lord in your heart and professing with your mouth. And so if anyone's been watching this and you say, you know what, I want to be saved, and you're not saved right now, just say to Jesus, Jesus, come into my heart. I profess that you're Lord, and I believe that you are Lord in my heart. And then you're saved. And then just keep it going. Read the Bible and allow the Bible to get inside of you and to germinate and grow into this large mustard tree. That's a metaphor that Jesus used.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, lots of fun. God bless everyone in the chat.
All right, guys. Well, I just want to say thank you to all of my guests. Jason was a Gentile, Dr. B, and Methods. I love all you guys. I so appreciate everybody coming here and opening up and sharing your stories. Jason, once again, thank you very much for making this incredible music. I think that it reaches people on a whole different level than what Dr. B and Methods and I can do. So I really appreciate it. And everybody here in the audience, I want to thank you very, very much for being here as well. Don't forget, on the 18th of October, we're going to be doing a part 2 of the paranormal campfire stories. We're going to be having you guys calling in on Zoom. So everybody make sure you download Zoom on your phones or on your computers. Make sure that your microphones are all set up and you're ready to go. And as always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News for Saturday Night Livestream with Jason, Methods, and Dr. B. Good luck, everyone, and God bless. Oh, and my mom. Thanks, Mom. We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.